Hi, I am Victoria. Today we are going to do the advent calendar, and it's going to be 5. If you want to hear the whole story, go to my YouTube channel, Figaro's Day Out. Figaro scolded at Pinocchio from the corner. Ever since the blue fairy had brought the puppet to life, things had changed. Before, Figaro had eaten all his meals beside Geppetto, and he had been the woodcarver told his stories to, but now it seemed like Geppetto only had time for Pinocchio. Suddenly, a dragonfly flew past Figaro's nose. The kitten chased the bug through the cottage and out the front door. But before he could get his paw on it, the dragonfly flew out of his reach. Just then, Figaro heard a voice. "Here, kitty, kitty, here, kitty, kitty." Figaro happily trotted across the street to where a little girl stood with her mother. If Geppetto didn't have time for him, he'd get his snuggles somewhere else. "Oh, aren't you just the sweetest little kitty?" the girl said. "I'm Victoria. I wish I could keep playing with you, but it's time for me to go home." Giving Figaro one last rub between the eyes, the girl stood up and she and her mother walked away, keeping his eyes on the girl. Figaro followed behind, weaving down the street after street.
¿Y a quién se parece la niña?
And it has my name. Finally, Victoria and her mother reached a small building. Figaro tried to follow them inside, but the girl's mother stopped him. "Oh, please, Mama," Victoria pleaded. "I'll take good care of him. You know my rules," she said. "No animals." "I'm sorry, Kitty," Victoria said. "I'm not allowed to have pets. You go on home now." Figaro looked around. He had been so focused on following the girl that he hadn't paid attention to where he was walking. He realized he had no idea where he was. Nothing looked familiar. How was he going to find his way home if he didn't know where he was? Figaro began to walk, but soon it started to rain. Figaro thought about the last time he'd been so wet. He had been outside playing while Pinocchio and Geppetto did their shopping when suddenly it started to rain. But the time the two got home, the poor kitten was shivering. Pinocchio had carried him inside and dried Figaro off with a warm blanket. Suddenly, the little kitten's stomach began to grumble. It must be dinner time. A little way down the road, Figaro spotted a market. "Look up at a fish seller," he meowed. But the man just swatted him away. "Off you go," he said, brushing Figaro outside with a broom. Go and find your food somewhere else. Figaro's stomach growled again. It seemed that he might be going to sleep hungry. At the thought of sleep, Figaro yawned. Perhaps it would be the best to find a place to spend the night. Spotting an empty step in front of a shop, Figaro lay down and put his head on his paws. The little kitten began to whimper. He had never been so cold, so hungry, so tired, or so lonely in his whole life. As he tried to get comfortable, Figaro thought of Pinocchio. Pinocchio had set up a nice spot near the fireplace for Figaro and even saved his allowance for a cozy blanket. Figaro started to feel bad for being angry with Pinocchio. The next morning, Figaro awoke to the sound of someone calling his name. "There you are," Pinocchio cried. "Father and I have been looking for you all night." Suddenly, Pinocchio noticed that the little kitten was shivering. "Oh, you're freezing," he said. "Come along. We'd best get you home at once." Back at the woodcarver's workshop, Geppetto built up the fire and settled Figaro in his warm bed beside the fireplace. Pinocchio gave the kitten a big bowl of cream and a plate of fish. "There now," Pinocchio said. "You should be feeling better in no time." Geppetto smiled at his son. "You take such a good care of Figaro. There's nothing left for me to do for him. You certainly love him, don't you?" Pinocchio sat down beside the kitten and began to pet him. "Oh, Figaro," he said, "what would we have done if we lost you? We do love you so." Figaro looked up at the boy, surprised that it was the first time Pinocchio had ever said he loved Figaro. But as Figaro thought of all the nice things Pinocchio had done for him, he realized the boy had been showing the kitten his love all along. Nuzzling Pinocchio, Figaro snuggled up on the boy's lap. Warm, dry, and with his belly full of food, the kitten began to drift off to sleep. Perhaps Pinocchio wasn't so bad after all. In fact, having another person love him sounded just fine to Figaro, and he realized he was starting to love the boy too. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and go to my TikTok so then you can see the beginning of the story. And follow me on TikTok. Bye! If you like my video, subscribe to my channel.